Okay, I think that's working now. Sorry, Mary, you're gonna have to start again.
Oh, okay. From the top, Grace?
From the top, yeah.
Okay, no problem. Welcome, everybody. Lovely to see you all. I actually can't see people's faces. I'm not sure why that is.
No, I think we've got some cameras off.
Okay, all right. Up to you guys. If you want to turn your cameras on, I'd love to see your. There we go. That's much nicer. I can see you. Oh, look at this and look at all these lovely familiar faces. Hello, everybody. Beautiful to see you. Right. Well, you might have been watching me before. Did you see me popping a bottle open? You can nod. No. Okay. All right. Right. Well, let's start from the top. So I thought, seeing as though it's 6:30 in the evening, that it would only be appropriate for us to have a glass of wine together. So I don't know what you've got at your end, but I have just cracked open a bottle of the new bottling of the Loose Cannon Fiano. So this is hot off the bottling. It's just been bottled, and as those of you who have sort of drunk wine with me before know, I love Fiano. I love it in McLaren Vale because it's got this beautiful, bright, crisp citrus acidity, but lots of texture as well. So I think it's kind of like one of those white wines that does everything. So I'm enjoying a little glass of that. Welcome to SS Black Sheep Fun. We're going to take you on a bit of a cruise tonight, a cruise of the mind, this one will be. So you sit back and we'll do all the work. We'd love to get your questions. So what we've done is we've put you on mute for now. Grace, who is with me, Grace McDonald, who's from Black Sheep headquarters, she's going to be receiving all your questions, and we're going to make sure that we talk to all of them at the very end after you've heard all about the cruise, and that will no doubt inspire you to ask more questions once you hear some of the terrific stuff. I've got two experts with me tonight, and they're going to do a bit of the talking. So I have Tiffany Mastrano, who is from Uniworld, and Uniworld is the cruise company that we have partnered with. Tiffany is double trouble because she's not only brilliant at being able to bring the Uniworld experience to life, but she's also got a wine background. So she's no slouch when it comes to knowing her way around the wine regions and what great wine tastes like. So she's extra informed about these particular cruises. And of course, we've chosen this one because it's got such a beautiful wine connection. And then after Tiff talks, I'm going to introduce you to David Hull, who is our travel manager. So if you're going to be traveling with us, it'll all happen through David, and he is extremely well versed on all of these Uniworld cruises. He's also incredibly helpful, knowledgeable, and a lovely man as well. So you will get a chance to hear from David. And then I'm going to do a little bit more talking at the end. So I'm going to hand over now to Tiff, who is going to bring to life this incredible 18-day cruise through the wine worlds. Over to
Oh,
you, Tiff.
thanks, Mary. That was a lovely introduction. A lot of pressure for me now. I actually am a triple threat tonight because not only do I have the wine and the cruising background, but my family is Portuguese. So when we're
Perfect.
talking about the Douro, I'm
Here we are.
extra qualified. So I'm going to share my screen. I just want to be able to bring this whole experience to life. So I hope you can see all that. I'm going to give you a really brief overview of our wonderful 18-day itinerary that Mary has chosen. I honestly could sit here and talk about this for 3 hours. I'm not going to do that. So I've just chosen a few highlights just to whet your appetite. But I just wanted to give you a bit of a background on who Uniworld is. So we are a 5-star all-inclusive luxury river cruise line. We're actually turning 50 this year. So we have been sailing the rivers of Europe since 1976. We have a lot of experience behind us. And we really specialize in immersive travel. So what we want to do is really immerse our guests in the destinations, not only through all of the wonderful shore excursions that you do, but also through the ships that take you there. So our ships are all completely unique and different, and they're inspired by the destinations that we sail through. And you're actually going to get to experience 2 of our beautiful ships on this itinerary because you're sailing in 2 beautiful wine regions. So this is our Wine Roads of France and Portugal itinerary. We begin in Bordeaux, exploring the wines of Bordeaux. Then we fly over to the Douro and we sail the Douro River and finish off in Lisbon. So I am preaching to the converted, I'm sure. This is a very, very wine-focused itinerary. So if you don't like wine, this is not for you, but I don't think we're going to have that problem in here. So I'm going to begin in Bordeaux, which is where you're going to begin as well, on the SS Bon Voyage. So this is our wonderful ship in Bordeaux. Very, very Mediterranean in style. This is actually my favorite pool in our fleet because we've got this beautiful infinity pool on the top deck. You're traveling in late August, so it's going to be summertime. You will be able to make the best use of this pool in your downtime on the ship. I want to take you through a few of my favorite spaces. My absolute favorite on every ship that I go on is the lounge, and I bet you can guess why. It's because that is where all the drinks are served. So as I mentioned, Uniworld is all inclusive. So we include all of your wines, all of your beers. If you want to have a cocktail, if you want to have a cocktail with breakfast, no one's going to blink an eye at that. But this is where you'll get all of your drinks all throughout the cruise. That's where I like to congregate after I've had a really hard day wine tasting, you know, in the heat, and then you come back and have some more wine or perhaps a cocktail in the bar. Another one of my favorite spaces on every ship is the restaurant because, of course, this is where the food is served. All of our meals, again, are included. Mary mentioned I have a wine background. I'm also from Melbourne, so I am a food and wine snob. I'm not afraid to say it. I think some of the meals that I have had on our itineraries rival some of the best degustations I have had in Melbourne and paid $300 for with matched wines. So the food is really, really fantastic. It's all locally inspired food. We actually source 80% of our produce from within 80 kilometers of where we're docked. So you're really, really getting a taste of the local regions. I'll give you a little taste of a couple of our cabin types. So this is a French balcony. So one of not the lead-in, but one step up from the lead-in. Now, we have across all of our fleet these beds called Savoir of England. I don't know if anyone's heard of them. I had not heard of them until I started working for Uniworld, and I was like, okay, look, a bed's a bed. When I slept on these Savoir of England mattresses, I was converted. I have had the best night's sleep I've ever had on some of our cruises. It might be the water, but also the beds are fantastic. Now, if you do want to treat yourself, you could go for something like a suite, get that little bit extra space. And if you do book a suite, you will also get the luxury of having your own personal butler to bring you little treats, do your laundry, all those sorts of things as well, if you wanted to treat yourself. I'll give you a little taste of the itinerary now. So Bordeaux, of course, is wine region. It's actually the Bordeaux wine region and the waterways that we're sailing. It's actually on the confluence of 3 different rivers. And Bordeaux itself, Mary will probably know more than I will about this, but there's over 100,000 hectares under vine, which I found out very recently. It's larger than the city of Los Angeles, or it's about 3 times the size of the city of Singapore that's under vine, which is huge, huge. I'm going to just show you a couple of our stops along both in Bordeaux and along the Douro. One of my favorite places in Bordeaux is Medoc, not only for the wines, but also for something I'm going to show you next. But Medoc is a wine region. It's home to the legendary villages. You've got Margaux, you've got Saint-Julien, you've got Saint-Asaph in Medoc. There's chateaus everywhere. You'll get the opportunity, of course, if you wanted to go on the bus to the chateaus and do the wine tasting, you can do that. I thought I'd include this little slide here because if you're feeling a little bit adventurous and you want to walk off or exercise off all of that food that you'll be eating, we've also got the opportunity to go cycling through the vineyards in Medoc as well. So that's never something that I do on a cruise because I'm there to eat and drink and relax, but I know a lot of people do enjoy being a little bit more active. So we've got the option for you if you want. Now, the next slide I think is my favorite, or one of my favorites of this whole trip, and that is something else that Medoc is famous for, which is oysters. You'll have the opportunity to go to an oyster farm, taste fresh oysters, and of course pair them with Bordeaux Blanc. Absolutely delicious. I love oysters so much, and wine. Another one of my favorite stops on this itinerary is Saint-Emilion. Now, Saint-Emilion is actually an old medieval town as well, and the region, the actual winemaking region in Saint-Emilion was first planted by the Romans, and it's the first vineyard region to be protected by UNESCO as well because of its history. So it's got so much history here, but walking through all the little cobblestone streets in Saint-Emilion is so wonderful. I don't want to give too much away, but there is a lovely little church here that's actually carved into the inside of the cliff. If you are walking around town, make sure you find where that church is. I didn't want to put a picture in here because you've got to see it for yourself. It's so wonderful. And of course, there's going to be opportunities to drink wine here as well. Now, something that we really like doing at Uniworld is giving our guests a VIP experience where we can. So one of those experiences on this itinerary is a private after-hours visit to a place called Bassin de Lumière. So it's actually a old converted submarine base. So it was a submarine base during the German occupation of France in World War II. And now they have all these wonderful art and light installations. So the one you can see there is a Gustav Klimt installation. I'm not sure what's going to be in there next year, but it's really cool in this old base with the water and all the light. A really cool experience. So I'm going to quickly move over now to the second half of the itinerary. So you'll get 7 nights in Bordeaux, and then we're going to fly you over to the Douro for the rest of the trip. So you'll have 10 nights here. You're going to have 7 nights sailing the Douro, and then you're going to have 3 nights in Lisbon to finish off. So as I mentioned, Portugal is one of my favorite places in the world. My family is from there, so I've spent a lot of time in Portugal and I love it so much. This is a view of Porto from the sun deck of our ship there, the São Gabriel. We dock right in the heart of Porto. Again, you've got a wonderful pool on the sun deck, and you're going at the perfect time of year to make use of them. But we're docked right in the heart of all of these cities, so you're able to get off and wander and go and explore the town in your own downtime if you want. Now, the São Gabriel, which is the ship that you're going to be on in the Douro, is all about colour, which I think is just the epitome of Portugal. There is colour everywhere on this ship. Again, my favorite place is the lounge and the bar. You're tasting a lot of wine from a lot of really famous wine regions on this trip, and the wines that we drink on board will be reflective of where you're sailing. So you'll get to taste all of these wonderful wines at the vineyards that you're visiting, and then you'll be able to have those same wines or different wines, but from those same regions when you're back on board as well. So all hyper local, like with the food. This is one of our alfresco dining venues. So it's not the main restaurant on the São Gabriel. I thought I'd put in this image of the little alfresco dining area, which is a lot smaller. They serve little casual bites there. But something else that they do is a lot of cooking demonstrations in this area as well. And Portugal is, of course, famous for the Portuguese tarts, or the pastéis de nata. And we have, you'll have a cooking demonstration from our pastry chef showing you how to make those Portuguese tarts. And then, of course, you get to eat everything that she makes, which is such a bonus. Now, this is one of our suites on the São Gabriel. You will see in a moment, I'm going to show you what the Douro River is like, but it's such a kind of slow-paced, leisurely, really, really picturesque itinerary. You've got a lot of downtime while we're sailing through the Douro River. So if there's one itinerary that you are considering maybe upgrading to a suite and getting that extra space, it will be this one. Just because you do have a lot more time on the ship to really take in all of those views while you're on the Douro. Of course, if you don't have a suite, there's still plenty of windows in the other rooms as well, and you've got all of those other areas on the ship that you can congregate. But if you are tempted, this is the itinerary to do it. And I just wanted to show you this as well. I don't usually include images of bathrooms when I'm doing these presentations, but I love the bathrooms on the São Gabriel because every single one of them has these Portuguese tiles in the bathroom. So even when you're brushing your teeth, you will not forget where you are. Now, coming back to the itinerary, so we've got 7 nights along the Douro. I want to show you a couple of slides of what the Douro River Valley is like. So this is again a UNESCO heritage listed wine region. It is steeped vineyards. It is really, really calm and picturesque. And you can't really see it from the images, but you'll notice when you're sailing through there, there's really no roads along the riverbanks. So the best way to see these views is, of course, from your ship that's sailing down the Douro. I can't tell you how peaceful and serene it is. You're sitting there with wine, just watching the world go by. Again, you'll have a lot of wine tasting opportunities. So we call the wineries, so they're chateaux, obviously in France. In Portugal, we call them quintas. We'll visit quite a lot of them on this itinerary. I went in November, so it was autumn. The leaves were all changing color. It was beautiful. You're going in August, which is the start of harvest season. So you're going to get a completely different view of all the vineyards. This is one of our VIP experiences that we have on this itinerary as well. We actually get to go into one of the local quintas and have a private home-cooked meal in the barrel hall. So one of the nights that we're on the Douro, you're not going to be on the ship having dinner. You'll actually get to go out and have dinner in a barrel hall. And then once you're all wined out, we're going to go down to Lisbon for your final 3 nights. Lisbon, I think, is probably my favorite city in the world. Again, we talked about the colors on the ship. Lisbon is color and life and sound. They have a music in Portugal called Fado, which is, they have live versions and recorded versions pretty much playing out all of the wine bars. And if you have the pleasure or the misfortune of traveling to Portugal with my father, you'll get a personal concert from him. He's not a professional, he just thinks he is. Lisbon's also foodie heaven, so if you haven't had enough food and wine on the ships, let me just tell you, save some room. Again, you've got the Portuguese tarts, the pastéis de nata. There is a little section of the city in Lisbon called Belém, which is allegedly where that Portuguese tart was born. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they claim. They are delicious. I just want to wrap up again what you can expect when you're cruising with Uniworld. So I've already mentioned we are all inclusive. So that means you get all of your drinks, all of your meals, all of your shore excursions. They're all included. Something I haven't spoken about that you don't think about until you're 3 weeks deep into a Europe trip is that we have actually an onboard laundry on all of our ships. So you don't need to worry about running out of clothes. You can go down and pop on a load of laundry if you'd like, free of charge. Of course, if you're in one of the suites, your butler will do your laundry for you. We've got bicycles that you can rent. We have daily fitness and wellness classes. Again, as I said, that's not something I do. I'm too busy eating the Portuguese tarts. But if you do want to keep up with that, we've got the classes available to you. So everything is taken care of when you sail with us. You don't have to worry about paying for all of these little extra things. We've taken care of it all for you. So I've probably spoken a little bit too long. It's very, very hard to cram 18 days down into 10 minutes or so. But if anyone's got any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I hope I've inspired you a little bit. If you've got questions on logistics, David is the person to go to. I do all the big picture thinking. So I really hope that you'll consider coming on this Wine Roads of France and Portugal with us. And I think having Mary along there with you to give you an inside glimpse of the wine side of things is just going to be so, so wonderful on an itinerary like this. So hopefully we will see you on board. And Mary, if there's a spare cabin, I've got my name on it.
You have to fight off my daughter, who thinks that she's coming on this one, Tiff, as well, which is pretty difficult because my husband thinks that he's also coming. So you might have to hop in line, I think. I've got a lot of takers for this one. You've absolutely whet my appetite. So thank you so much for bringing it to life. That looks amazing. This is a really special trip. I mean, 2 extraordinary countries, 2 amazing wine regions. That's there's a lot there. So I'm going to ask David to talk to you a little bit more about the travel and the logistics side of things, because if you want to come with us, you'll be getting to know David quite well, because he handles all of the booking side of what's going on, and he's also extremely helpful if you want to say top or tail your cruise with other travel. He's very experienced and can give you a lot of the insider tips on that. So David, please, by all means, take the floor.
I will. Thank you very much, Mary. It's interesting that Uniworld, their 50th anniversary, and I've been, this year is my 40th as a travel manager. So it's we're both celebrating, so that's quite good. Yeah, look, it's great to see some faces there that I've seen before and names that I've actually spoken to or emailed. The one thing about these cruises is once we get the cruise locked in, quite often there's a bit of a lead time into when we actually can book in airfares and all the travel plans and arrangements around it. So it's it's not like it's a big rushed sort of thing. We've got plenty of time. So and as we know, these years fly pretty quickly. And as Mary was saying before, it's interesting that we're just about to, this year's trip's about to go. And, you know, it felt like it was just so long ago that we started it. So generally what will happen, I get inquiries every day for people that want to go on these. And then I'll have a sort of a standard email that will go out, because the questions I get asked are the same by everybody in most cases. So what I'll generally do is, if you are interested, and if you haven't contacted me, just send me an email. That's the best way to do it, because I'll come back to you with the information that will help you understand what the costs are and all the different things that we've got with the cruise. Generally, we will have with these groups, we'll have allotments in this case here, the French Balkanies. There are other accommodation on board that you can upgrade to if you want to. So I don't have those prices right here. I have to get those once we sort of if I get that inquiry, purely because there's not a lot of those cabins on board. So so what we generally do is, if you are interested, a 10% deposit is required at the time of booking, and then final payment is 120 days prior. So once you get inside 120 days, that's when it becomes real. So it's that's sort of the thing that's really required at this time. A lot of people ask me to help them out with the pre and post, as Mary was saying, with airfares or with insurances and accommodation and other tours, other cruises. I've got a pile of files over here that everyone's doing something different. There's some amazing different things that people are adding into their adventure. So airfares only go on sale, go into the airline inventory for sale 11 months prior. So in the case of this, where we've got, 22 August, most people would go over, let's say mid-August or 18th of August. We cannot book or look at any airfares until the 18th of September this year. And if you're returning a month later, we can't look for the return until the October. So once again, don't stress about that thing with the airfares. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens as we go into a new year, and with the Middle East, with the big airlines like Emirates and Etihad and Qatar, who are still sort of waiting for us all to be rebooking with them to go over. I think we'll possibly see if we can get some sense into the Middle East there. What we might find is that these airlines will come out with some good deals for next year. They're already there in the market, because they know that they've had 6 months now of cancellations and refunds. So that's another thing just to look out for too. Once we sort of hit that 10, 11 months in advance, we should be having a look at what deals are out there. So there's just from this year really quickly, everyone that's been going over outside of the groups, even just my other clients that I have, there's a lot of new entry requirements for countries that are requiring you to fill things out for your land now. I know Europe's had a little bit of the queues in some city airports have been quite huge, but I do believe it is getting better, is what we're sort of finding. They're starting to work through that. So there's things changing all the time, and generally all that information is what I'll provide you with as we sort of get closer. I try not to clog up your brain with too much stuff until it's necessary that we need to start to do things. So if you are interested and you're needing more information, just get me an email. I think the email was on the invitation that you guys were sent out with the EDM, with the newsletter, and then I can come back to you. And if you also want to chat on the phone, I'm happy to do that as well. So we sometimes rely on email too much, but I think it's good to have a chat. So welcome everybody, and hopefully we'll see some of you on board.
Fabulous. Thank you, David. Don't forget to pop your questions in the chat, because Grace is going to read them out in a minute, and we'll try our best to answer them. So I'm very excited. When we first sort of started looking at these cruises, we're actually going on one in 49 days is when we set sail for the first one up through France. And when I was first asked if I'd like to do this, it was just a bit of a no-brainer for me, because I know a lot of you already, right? Like we've had some really lovely occasions together on many occasions, a lot of you who are tuned in tonight. And you guys know that the Black Sheep Club is not just a wine club, it's much more of a community, and we feel as though you're sort of part of our family business. And so the idea that you would come with me on something really special overseas was just too good to look the other way. And I just thought, wouldn't that be wonderful? Because it's kind of like doing a Black Sheep Let Loose and a Shearing the Vines, but over on the other side of the world. And I just thought, that's brilliant. We'll just love that. And so obviously, I wanted to choose tours where there's a very strong wine element, and I'm happy to share the limelight with some other wine regions. I think that we'll all learn plenty. I haven't done a lot of cruises. I know some of you have, but what's very appealing is that, we don't actually have to unpack our bags every day, but we get a proper cultural immersion in the places that we're going to. And I think you could kind of get a bit of a flavour of that from what Tiffany was showing us, that we really do get to see some extraordinary stuff behind the scenes. And so sometimes I look at these sort of things and think, oh, well, I need to go and book a whole lot of stuff for you. And actually, on this cruise that we're doing in 50 days' time, I didn't feel the need that I needed to go off and find other wineries to book up for us, because there's already so much on offer. And I think that that's one of the great things about Uniworld, is that they've actually thought of everything. And that's very reassuring for me, being the person who's recommending this for you. As you probably know, I'm a real foodie. That's why I try and find, the best restaurants I can when we do Black Sheep Let Loose. So the food element is very important to me, that is delicious and local, and that it reflects the culture of the specific towns that we'll be going through. And I love that about what Uniworld's approach is, that it's going to be very much paired to where we are, and the wines will change on a daily basis as to where we're going. I'm going to do some masterclasses on board. That will be part of my pleasure, is to be able to take some of our black sheep wines over to France and Portugal with us. And then I'll take a lot of pleasure, I hope, in being able to find some local stuff, and then we can sort of talk about the differences and have some really good wine chats. I want to reassure you on one thing, though, because it sort of sounds like I'm going to be in your face and sort of like sitting on your bed in the morning. I promise I won't be. I will not be in your face. This is very much your holiday, and I don't want to get in the way of that. But we will have the masterclass time together. I would love it if we have some dinners together, but none of that is compulsory. So if you just want to go and flop and do whatever you want, that's absolutely your call. So there'll be as much and as little as you want in terms of us hanging together and doing stuff. But there'll be some really nice opportunities at night to share some meals together. And I love that there's sommeliers on board who'll be able to guide us through the wines, because I won't necessarily be an expert on everything that's being poured. But I can tell you from looking at the list, from everything in Bordeaux all the way to Portugal, there's going to be some really cracking wines. And one thing that's very exciting is that Hamilton's started, as you know, six generations ago, and port was a very big part of our business for the first 4 generations. And Portugal and the ports, you won't believe how delicious that is. If you've sort of lost touch with fortifieds and those delicious exotic wines, I think you're going to fall in love with them. And if it's your first time experience with those wines, you'll be blown away. And I think that that'll be personally a real highlight for all of us. So I'm very much hoping that I'll see some of your lovely faces on board. I think we've already sold 7 cabins, have already been snapped up. So we're more than halfway through. So perhaps give David a call if you're interested in having a chat to him a little bit more about it. But there's some immediate questions right now. And Gracie, I'm going to hand over to you to ask and answer them.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. We have had some good questions come through. The first one, I think, is probably one for you, Tiff. However, it's just, are dietary issues catered for? I think I know the answer, but I'll let you answer that.
I want to hear your answer, Grace.
I was going to say, I can remember from the webinar last year that we definitely cater for all dietary. Yes,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, we do. I'm an annoying dietary myself. I'm a pescatarian, so no issues catering for dietaries as long as we know about them.
Perfect. We then have some questions about how many guests are on each cruise. I think that might be about, we've got the black sheep, but then it's open to other people there as well. So if you wanted to touch on that one as well. Tiff?
Yeah. So these are actually 2 of our smaller ships in our fleet. So in Bordeaux, we've got a maximum of 124 passengers. Of course, sometimes you've got solos in occupying cabins. So very rare that we'll have all the way full to 124. Might be 100 or 110 or so if we're full. And in Portugal, we've got a maximum of 98 passengers. So that one's even smaller again. And again, when you factor in some solos, that's probably going to sit around 85 or 90 people maximum. I might pass over to David in terms of what allocation we've got for the Black Sheep Club.
Sorry, I've muted that. Yeah, we've got 7. I think we have 15 cabins. We've got 7 left. So and the inquiries are coming in every day. So some people act straight away. Some people sit for a week or 2 weeks, and then I hear from them again. So there's still cabins available as at today. So that's no problem at all. And as I said, they're based on the French balcony. If the higher levels are available, we can request those as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, David. We also have a question on the cost of the room upgrades. I think you did touch on this briefly, David, and just mentioned to get in touch with you to discuss that a little bit further, just so you can get into the finer details. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of different costings, and then there's single costing, there's double costing. There's also promotions out at the moment where they've got is it an early bird tip, or is it called, it's an airfare credit or a credit, isn't it?
Yeah, an airfare credit that we've got at the moment.
Yeah, so basically it just means that you get that amount of money off. And they can change, but I've got all that sitting here in an email ready to go out if anyone wants it. So yeah.
Perfect. And just on cost as well, we do have another question that was just around the base cost. David, you might be able to answer that.
Yeah, so the category, so this is based on the sorry, I'm just reading so category A, which is what we've got, category A, category B. So the double costing per person starts at $23,699, and then there's the deal that comes on, and so the current deal is $2,000 off that, so it drops it down. Single costings are obviously higher. It's generally not double the cost. Quite a lot of people say if there's one person in a cabin, it's double. It's not in this instance here. It's a little bit under that, but yeah, I can share that, as I say, via an email.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question we have is just about passing this on to friends, and can they join and book with this group? So I think there's probably a couple of layers there, whether or not there's opportunity for people who aren't part of the Black Sheep to join the cruise separately and not be part of the master classes and things like that, or I'm not sure who might be the best one to answer this, but
probably Mary's rules, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
I'm gonna say that absolutely, if you've got friends who would like to come on the cruise, by all means invite them, but the masterclass is for Black Sheep Club members only, so they might like to join the Black Sheep Club.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks, Mary. Another question, Tiff, I think this might be for you. Do you sail during the day only?
There will be a mix. Sometimes you'll be sailing during the day, sometimes it'll be at night. So it's not a hard and fast rule. Yeah, there'll be a mix of things. Sometimes you're docked in port during the day, all day, so you can go off and wander, especially in Bordeaux, you'll be able to go off and wander, and then they'll say, the ship's setting sail at 6 p.m, so make sure you're back on board at 6 p.m. They won't leave without you. You've got to scan in and out so you won't get left behind. But yeah, it's a bit of a mix.
Perfect. Thank you. And then another one, how will Mary's masterclasses happen on the ship?
Right, I can answer that one. So we'll probably do 2 at least, I would say, maybe more. And then how that will happen is we'll probably choose days or afternoons is going to be my preference, so that we don't stuff up any of your morning tours and jumping off the boat. So I'll host them at times where it's makes the most sense, I guess, is what I'm saying, because I definitely don't want to get in the way of any of your great experiences. So I think afternoon is a really good time to do them before dinner, and we'll make sure that they happen on days when you're not already booked for other things. So they'll just be Black Sheep Club members, and we'll do them no doubt in the beautiful dining rooms, and we'll probably have the help of the sommelier, who will be able to help me choose some great bits and pieces, and all the glassware will be on board, and I will have sent all our beautiful wines over. So that's hopefully answering that question.
Perfect. Thank you, Mary. Tiff, another one for you, I think. How do wineries handle the onslaught of 100+ passengers for a tasting at their cellar door?
That's a very good question. I've run a few cellar doors, so the thought of 100 people coming in one go actually churns my stomach. What we do for the excursions is we split off into smaller groups. So there will be multiple excursions running, and where we do have, say, maybe 50 or so people that want to go to the one winery for a tasting. It will depend on the winery and what their maximum capacity is, but we'll generally split off into groups of 15 or so. one group will maybe tour the vineyard and the winery while another group tastes, and then we'll swap over. So you won't be tasting with 100 other people. No one's set up for that. But yeah, it will depend on the particular winery and what they can handle. But yeah, that is terrifying to me.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification. Another one for you. What is a French balcony?
That is a good question, because until I started working for cruises, I did not know what a French balcony is either. So a French balcony is a balcony that opens, but you don't step out onto it. So it's called a French balcony because they have these all over France, but particularly in Paris. So your windows will open, you'll have like little railings so that you can't fall out of the window. So you get that idea of having a balcony, but it's in your room. So we're not losing. I'll be honest, on river ships, the cabins can be quite tight because we've got to get through locks and everything up and down the rivers. So space is a premium on a river ship. So to not lose any space to an outdoor balcony and retain all of that in your cabin, I think is fantastic. So it's that you still get the fresh air without losing any of your cabin space. I hope that answers the question.
Perfect. Thank you. And then a couple more. I think, David, these might just be back to you on the credit and the cost per person, if you can answer. Otherwise, we'll get people to send you an email. Is the air credit extra to the discount already given, and is that 23,000 per person? I think this
it is per person. Yeah, it is per person. And the discount is what the current discount is that gets offered. So like the current discount being, correct me if I'm wrong here, Tiff, if it's changed, was $2,000 per person. Is that
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it just didn't change. So yeah, so that's what it currently is. So that and if there's other deals that come into the market, yeah, I doubt that there will be, but that's sort of the way that they do it. So it's a per person costing with that discount. And also, if you've travelled with them before, you also get a past passenger discount as well. So that also adds up as well. So yeah.
And just quickly to bounce off that, David, that $2,000 discount is going to be valid until the end of September. So we've got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you both. One more question is just on the water levels. Is the water levels in these rivers an issue?
I can take that as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
In these regions, no. So Bordeaux, it's a tidal river system, so we're not relying on the issues that we have at the moment on the Danube and the Rhine, is because Europe's in drought and we don't have all of that alpine snow melt coming down to the rivers the way it has. So yeah, Bordeaux, that's tidal, so close to the coast, we don't have water issues there. On the Douro, again, it's not the same sort of river system that the Rhine and the Danube has. And the Douro is actually fed, and they control the water on the Douro by these 5 massive dams along the Douro. So if the water levels are getting low, they release more water into the river, and vice versa. So it does occasionally happen, but nowhere near what we're seeing. They've got those dams as sort of a fail-safe for the Douro.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Send them through now, because I think that's all of the questions we've had so far.
Thank you, Grace. That's
no
lovely.
worries.
I've got one question which I know how to answer. It's the best question. People sometimes ask, what if I'm solo traveling? Will that work? And I would say absolutely, it would work. We've got, I think, 2 passengers coming on the 2026 cruise who are coming on their own, and they'll have a fantastic time because I'll be there. The Black Sheep Club is a very welcoming group of people, and it's a wonderful schedule. So I don't think you should feel worried if you want to travel alone. You'll be safe and you'll be well looked after. So unless you've got, I think that there's one other question. Please go ahead, Gracie.
The last question we've had come through is this an annual event for the Black Sheep Club?
Well, that's a great question. I haven't set sail on my first one yet. I've got 49 days until I do, but I've been brave and bold enough and excited enough that I've got 2027 booked in already, which is why we're all here. So I think it could be. The only caveat I might put on it is that 2028, Stella, my daughter, is doing year 12. And so I just have to see whether or not that seems very fair, that I'm off having a wonderful time while she's studying hard for her year 12 exam. So that might be my only rest year. We'll just see. But yeah, I think that this will be an annual event for the Black Sheep Club. It really suits what we do. Terrific. Well,
Perfect.
unless you've got any other questions, I think that we might make that a wrap. David is there for you to be able to answer all of your logistics questions. He knows the Uniworld scene very well, so he can also answer all your more specific questions about the boats and the rooms and the fare type. So if you have questions, I definitely encourage you to talk to David. He's terrific. And Tiff, thank you so much for sharing your enthusiasm about Uniworld. It definitely whet my appetite. Those photos are sensational, and you can just see by the itinerary that it's going to be 18 amazing days of wine, food, sights, smells, textures. I can't wait. So looking forward to seeing some of you with me. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and see those of you who are coming with me on 2026 soon, and some of you in 2027. See you guys.
Thank you.